Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Depending on the purpose will be the degree of discipline. Depending on the purpose will be the degree of discipline. An example of this, suppose you're engaged in a race. Let's say it's a running race. You will be disciplined until the race, during the race, but as soon as the race is over, then that indiscipline will begin, yes? Whereas, if you're being disciplined for your health, when will that indiscipline kick in? Never, because you're always your health until the body dies. I'll make this more subtle. If you are converting values into virtues for position, you want to be more powerful, you want to be more popular, so you're more organized and your time management is better. That will happen, but when you do become more powerful, more popular, those virtues will be undone. It will become values again, as in theory. In Meaningful Mornings, our purpose is peace. And so the conversion of values to virtues, we're not doing this temporarily. We are doing this for forever. It requires that much discipline. When we invoke these virtues, they will be with us forever. Prince Arjuna has just asked a question. His questions should be our questions. If you can document the questions you asked yesterday, most of them would have been about pleasure, possession, position, functionality. Our questions should evolve to his questions like, what is the best for me? What is holding me back from being the best? The more you feel these questions, the more you will feel the answers. Prince Arjuna's question indicates that he's taking Sri Krishna for granted. How is it possible that you taught the sun when you were born after the sun? Some of you who are thinking logically, why didn't Sri Krishna just reveal his divinity in the beginning? Why go through chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, all the way to 18? This is to train Prince Arjuna to be grateful. Think about yourself, think about the people around you. Be grateful. Do it. Does it happen so automatically? Think of a lot of the younger people you interact with, how there's a sense of entitlement, correct? Because a lot of what they have access to, they got automatically. They didn't work hard or smart for it, so see how they take that for granted. And that's why Sri Krishna is employing a subtle teaching technique called Viyoga. or separation. You know what's most fascinating about this? This was the last word I used yesterday before the power went off. See how I said Viyoga and it happened? That was quite epic. In this Viyoga or separation, any sensitive seeker will become more grateful. And we have seen this very clearly in Vedanta and Bhagavata. The gopis took Sri Krishna for granted. What did he do? He as if separated himself, but he came back. The Devis as if took Sri Krishna for granted. He separated himself. He came back. Okay? So a lot of subtlety to the teaching. And this idea of separation and union becomes more clear in our next verse. Prince Arjuna asks the question. Shri Krishna offers the answer. Verse 5, chapter 4. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tavacharjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veta Parantapa. Shri Krishna guides the whole first line. Bahuni, many. Me, mine, as in Shri Krishna. Vyatitani, have passed. Many of mine have passed. What is he referring to? Janmani, which means births. Cha, and Tava Arjuna, and yours too. Here, Shri Krishna is introducing the teaching of birth, death, and what's after death? Birth again. Birth, death, birth, death. Many of mine have passed. The same with you, Prince Arjuna. What is the difference between you and I then? Tani aham veda sarvani. All of these I remember. Natvam, you do not. Vetam parantapa, you do not remember, Prince Arjuna. So all of the births and deaths, Shri Krishna remembers, and Prince Arjuna forgets. This is the direct answer to why Prince Arjuna asks, how is it that you taught the sun? Shri Krishna is sharing, I was there before the sun, so were you. I remember that. You have forgotten that. There is much implication to this verse, the next verse, and then the next two, which all of you know. This is a build-up to an epic portion of Bhagavad Gita. I'll provide some orientation. Shri Krishna is bringing to Prince Arjuna's awareness the idea, the law of avatara. I want all of you to say it back to me 3 times. Avatara, avatara, avatara. What is it not? Avatar. If there's a poor Wi-Fi connection, I am not saying avatar. I am saying avatara. Okay? Avatara means ava, to descend. And tra or tarati means to move. So avatara, as if, means descending. Why the word avatara is used is because that's our orientation. Tell me, where does God live? All of you look in the direction where God lives. right? Up in space. Now maybe in Jupiter, right? That's where NASA is exploring Jupiter, maybe there. Because we're oriented towards space, time, matter. So this word avatara is used, a more accurate word. I referenced this in Ramayana. I referenced this in Bhagavatam. I will reference this again next week. Is sambhavami. As a seeker, this is the word we should reflect on more. Sambhavami, which means to manifest. Shri Krishna was not born like I was. Shri Krishna doesn't descend from heaven like Santa Claus from the clouds in a sleigh. He manifests. Why does he manifest? Because he cares for Prince Arjuna, he cares for us. I'd shared yesterday one of the greatest virtues, if not the greatest virtue within relationships, is adaptability. Avatara means to adapt. Shri Krishna, who is divine, the divine keeps adapting to care for us. And as we explored in the middle of chapter 3, one of the greatest forms of care is to protect another. And how can you protect another finally? By making them independent. So Shri Krishna manifests to teach. Sometimes as Sri Rama he teaches, sometimes as Shri Krishna he teaches, sometimes as Gautama Buddha he teaches. They were all teachers, no? Teaching those around them to be independent. Adapting themselves, adapting the message. In comparison, Prince Arjuna is not an avatara like Shri Krishna. Avatara means to incarnate. It is choice-based. For Prince Arjuna, for Vivek, it is reincarnation. Not avatara, but karma. It is not choice-based. So now we feel dejected. We are all born in a custom-designed context to learn that we too can be avatars. So I may feel that karma forced me to be like this, be here, but it's custom designed for me to remember I am like Shri Krishna, I am Shri Krishna. And who is Shri Krishna? Divinity. A practical sentiment in terms of reincarnation or incarnation. This idea of forgetfulness. When Vivek is born, then Vivek dies, then Vivek is born again. Vivek's memory, mind, intellect, ego, that will forget the specifics of a previous birth. My inner doer doesn't remember what my name used to be, or how I used to look, or who my parents were, or what part of this multiverse I lived in. Do you all remember your past birth? We can switch hosting right now. You continue then. We forget. We are fortunate that we forget. If I remember who my previous parents were, and now here's Vivek, now all of a sudden I have two sets of parents. Which one should I be closer to? You're going to say both. Fine. What about the 10 million other parents I have? Who should I be close to then? We are fortunate that we forget the specifics, but we do not forget the general learning. In my previous birth, if I learn to be patient, in this birth, I will be patient too. I will have forgotten how I learned that, but I don't forget the learning of I am patient. Lots of beautiful teachings. And here's one final reflective point. More is going to be shared verse by verse by verse. I don't know who shared this with me or I dreamt this. Shri Krishna is like the rising sun. From whose perspective is the sun rising? From the perspective of the one who's limited, correct? But does the sun rise? The sun is always there, yes, ever present. But sometimes it's as if is unmanifest, then manifest, then unmanifest. But the sun is ever present, especially when we're experiencing darkness. The deeper into the darkness, you know that the sun is coming, correct? Reflect lots on that. Shri Krishna is like the as if rising sun. Inspiration to application. Your application from 2 mornings ago was to live adya, to live for today. How many of you tried this? If you did, I feel your reflections would have led you to, at the end of the day, nothing outside of you is coming with you. Your desk is not, your bank account is not, your body is not. Only your inner doer is coming with you. So tell me, what's the most important every day? Developing the body or developing the mind? Your application from yesterday, but there was Viyoga, was to practice evolving, taking for granted to being grateful. One article, one being, one circumstance. So you have to do that today. You pick one article you take for granted, be grateful for it. The same for being, the same for circumstance. That was yesterday's application, which you have to do. And now this morning's application. I want you to contemplate on the sun today. Many of you practice dhyana or contemplation. Do this on the sun. S-U-N. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.